Hi Moglets. Today we're going to be raising Alhaitham.
Wait.
Alhaitham or Alhaitham?
Huh? I'm Alhaitham.
Bits of the raising and farming are done on the stream, so we're going to take a look at that real quick. Let's give him some books to start. Oh god, I forgot these things. The sand grease poopas. Yeah, we have a new area. I guess somewhere over here. Yes, grab those 3 mats. Oh, wait a minute. And now we would need to find the new boss, I guess. Just try and make a beeline. I don't know if there's something special I gotta do, but all right, here we go. Yeah, this is like the dude in the chasm, which is funny because the whole thing kind of looks like the chasm. I guess I'm just gonna start attacking it. It's really slow. Can we just kill it? Okay. What's this artifact looking like? Death percent. My Yoimiya is C0 for the record, so it's not that much whale. Oh, right, we still need those. They look kind of clustered, which is a good sign usually, but they're like all underground. Are those them? Ew. Oh my god. I almost forgot to do my beeps. Beep, 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 beep. What the hell are those? Steaks? Random ass meat on the ground? Beep. But I don't beep the meat because it's not part of the collecting montage. Beep. Is he doing something different this time? Attacks with specific elemental types trigger swirl reactions. I don't think I need to do any of that garbage. Stop with your fancy tricks and just die. Any second now, he's gonna do something bad, isn't he? Datch, do it. Beep. But yeah, one more world maybe. That should do it. Beep. You wanna try and kill the boss? I don't know if we can. I don't know if I can with Tignari, but to give it a try just for fun, I guess. I still need some more mats anyway. Nice. Definitely wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. Actually could be pretty good. Lots of characters need elemental mastery stands in the meantime. We got crit damage, energy recharge, 2 more of those. Yeah, I think I just go straight up in this tunnel, and then there are some here as well. Beep. Why did this only go well the first time I fought this dude, and now he's all being annoying all the time? All right, that'll probably be the last boss run for today. Oh yeah, I wanted to check my poopas. 93. And we're back. We actually should be able to mostly get him the rest of the way at least to 70, which I think we might stop with for now since, you know, when it comes to new 5 stars, God mode comes pretty quickly after. Like, also I just noticed Dendro damage bonus here from his extra stat on Ascension. There's his 4th star anyway, and 70. Would need to do a small amount of farming, really not that big of a deal, but I actually do kind of want to keep him at 70 on purpose. Now that he's raised, let's go ahead and do the talent and constellation overview. His basic attacks are pretty standard for a sword user, as well as his charge attack, 2 rapid sword strikes. One cool thing with his basic attack is the second to last hit in the chain throws out some kind of short range energy blade. Looks pretty cool. His elemental skill is essentially just a Dendro attack. You can't hold it to aim where he goes. You can aim it above the enemies and then do a plunge attack on them, for example, or you can just tap it to do a rush attack on the nearest enemy. After doing this, you will gain some Chiselite mirrors. You'll get 1 mirror if he already has mirrors and 2 mirrors if he has none. And these mirrors do a couple of things. Firstly, all of his normal attacks will be converted to Dendro, so like an infusion, very similar to Keqing after you do her elemental skill. And while he has mirrors and doing his normal attacks, they will do some coordinated attacks, also known as projection attacks, basically attacking alongside him for some extra Dendro damage. Something which I thought was kind of a shame is this cannot be used as off-field Dendro. Only he can use these mirrors. It's also important to know that the initial attack with his elemental skill, as well as all the follow-up projection attacks from having mirrors, do scale with elemental mastery. Each of these mirrors lasts 4 seconds, so if you start from 0, do an elemental skill and get 2 of them, you have 8 seconds of these projection attacks as well as Dendro normal attacks. His burst is essentially damaged. It's a pretty medium-sized AoE circle. This also does scale with elemental mastery, and depending on how many mirrors he has at the time of doing burst, it will hit more or less times. Up to 10 when you have 3 mirrors. Also, there is a pretty odd mechanic with his burst. Depending on how many mirrors you had and thus consumed upon doing his burst, you will get some or none back 2 seconds after. Basically, the more mirrors you consume to do the burst, the less you'll get back. If you do a naked burst, aka without any mirrors, then you'll get 3, and it kind of goes on like that. His first passive here lets you generate these Chiselite mirrors just from a simple charged or plunging attack. It does have a 12-second cooldown, which means you definitely should do the elemental skill first, while you have 0 Chiselite mirrors. Because if you get a Chiselite mirror from this passive and then do his elemental skill, you're still only gonna have 2. But if you do skill first and get the bonus one from having 0, then you can do the plunge or charge attack to get the 3rd one. And his final passive gives him more bonuses on the projection attacks as well as his burst based on his elemental mastery. As for his Constellation, it really feels like C1 fixes a problem they introduced on purpose. I feel like his elemental skill should never have an 18-second cooldown. Of course, C1 helps a lot with that already, being able to decrease it by 1.2 seconds every second whenever one of his projection attacks hit. C2 is an elemental mastery boost. Basically, it's up to 200 extra elemental mastery. You get these stacks by generating Chiselite mirrors. Honestly, it doesn't seem that good, but extra stats are extra stats. C4 also doesn't sound that impressive. As we were talking about when it came to his burst, the mirrors you use are the mirrors you don't get back when you do his burst. So after you do his burst, these two things can happen. Either the whole party will get elemental mastery, or only Alhaitham will get 10% Dendro damage bonus. Both of these can happen, but there's a max of 3 stacks combined. 90 elements mastery for everyone is pretty bad. 30% Dendro damage bonus is a little bit better, but either way, it's not a super strong C4, I would say. That is until you get to C6, because C6 makes C4 better actually. It is then possible to get all 3 stacks of both of them, making it an actually pretty solid buff, having 30% extra Dendro damage bonus for
Alhaitham.
and 90 elemental mastery for everyone. Because regardless of how many mirrors you had when you do the burst, you will always get 3 back. So if you consume 3 mirrors, now you will get 3 mirrors back and get all the C4 buffs. In addition to that, he'll get the pretty standard crit rate, crit damage boost that we see on a lot of C6s nowadays. In his case, it's 10 crit rate, 70 crit damage, which is pretty big. So when he's at max mirrors and does something that would generate another mirror, instead it'll give him this crit buff for 6 seconds. If you get another mirror before the 6 seconds is gone, it'll add on to the buff timer. And considering after burst, you'll always have 3, you should be able to keep this buff somewhat easily. So as usual, C6 does sound really good, but yeah, in my opinion, I would not bother ever going past C1 unless you're planning on getting him all the way up to C6. There is no in between. As for build, for the raising mode, I do like to try and keep it somewhat free to play with a 4-star weapon here. I do think Sifos Moonlight would be really good. I still haven't gotten around to raising one. Generally, for a main DPS, I would prefer a crit stat there, but unfortunately, there are no non-battle pass weapons with crit stats, as far as swords are concerned at least. Well, Harbinger of Dawn, I guess. One of the recent event swords would probably also be pretty good for him. It is almost essentially a 32% damage increase. Unless it takes you more than 10 seconds to kill something, then there's like 5 seconds where they don't have this curse and are thus taking extra damage. Sacrificial might honestly be pretty interesting as well. I kind of want to at least try it because of the currently at least massive cooldown he has at C0. Maybe at C1 wouldn't be that great anymore, but like 18 seconds, dude, it has a longer cooldown than the cooldown of Sacrificial Sword. We're gonna go ahead and start with Sacrificial at least because yeah, I haven't raised these other ones that I think would be good for him. And to be honest, it would be kind of a waste when I do have his signature sitting right there. I probably will eventually get around to raising Sifos Moonlight though, at least for Kazuha, because I don't have Freedom Sworn yet. As for artifacts, I do think Gilded Dreams would be a pretty good set for him. Sadly, at the moment, I can't even make a bad Gilded Dreams set. We don't have any Elemental Mastery Sands and no Dendro Damage Goblets, so I can't even make a set. We could, of course, go for a more general DPS-y build, 2-piece Deepwood and 2-piece Gilded or Wanderer. I'd probably go Wanderer instead. It has the same 2-piece bonus, and I have a lot more options there, including a pretty nice Dendro Goblet that my Tignari was borrowing. I'm gonna take that back now. So yeah, at least especially with Sacrificial, his stats aren't going to be super impressive right now. We got 425 Elements Mastery, which I think is, he probably could use a little bit more, but I don't really want to sacrifice crit stats for more Elements Mastery. Crit ratio isn't horrible. They both could be a little higher. So yeah, he's basically built. We're gonna do our daily quest, try and solo them with him. Gotta be careful not to actually plunge attack on these guys because I don't want to get a mirror before I do his elemental skill. Okay, there we go. Now, as you can see, just from that one, we already have 3 because we put it up in the air, did a plunging attack, so now we have three mirrors. But we could do it again because of Sacrificial. We're not doing a ton of damage here. His skills actually aren't raised yet. I never raised his talents because there's one thing I wanted to check. And while I assume the projection attacks are going to be based off of the level of his elemental skill, and I would assume his normal attacks, even with Chiselite mirrors, would be increased by leveling up his basic, I can never really be sure because, you know, it's weird sometimes. Here we have a challenge. This would probably be a pretty good spot just to try it out. So we're gonna throw that up there, do a plunge attack, should be able to get 3 mirrors like that then, and just 997. 997 on most of these enemies here. 997. All right, very consistently 997. Honestly, just getting it up to 3 should be enough to see here. Indeed, it is now 11:59. All right. Obviously, those extra attacks that the mirrors are doing are going to be based off of his skill. So I would say you do kind of need to raise all of his skills. I would probably still give priority to his skill though. That seems to be what you're mostly doing. So we're going to go and start with that, get that up to 6. Although if possible, I'm just going to get them all up to 6. Oh yeah, and we have actually some stuff left to spare as well. All right, cool. We only have 30 seconds left here now. I'm not sure if we can do it. Let's go ahead and get these mirrors back. Maybe we'll do his burst. Yeah, we're seeing like 5,000 hits, which is pretty good, I would say, with like no other buffs right now. Kind of, okay, I used some other characters because there was like 3 seconds left and I didn't want to have to redo it. But yeah, if I wasn't trying to do some tests, he could have easily handled that on his own. Light chasing challenge. I remember I was able to do one of these like super fast, like in a couple seconds. And then like I couldn't do that again. Forgot what I did in particular. Oh. Yeah, I got him. Okay, that was pretty fast also. Oh geez, our last daily quest is way over there. I haven't been there yet. Defeat the Immorites. There's only 2 of them here, so I guess we'll see. Yeah, to one of them it's only doing half as the other one. He must have some resistance, I guess. Just by habit, I finished it off with the Zhongli burst. Whatever, he did like 90% of the work. So yeah, I mean, he is a main DPS. Of course, he can handle most of this stuff by himself. All right, to make up for it, let's go ahead and do these. Probably should have done the plunging attack. Doesn't really matter. I mean, look at him go. I don't know where all those blooms were coming from. Was there a hydro slime there that I didn't see? But yeah, so far sacrificial is actually working out really well because those coordinated attacks, while you have the mirrors, also count as elemental skill hits. So basically, as soon as Sacrificial's cooldown is over and one of those coordinated attacks hit, he'll have a very high chance of just getting his skill back and off cooldown. But all right, how are we actually going to get him to do damage? One of the things I wanted to start with was basically replacing Nahida with him in my Bloom team. I feel like Nahida would still be better because she doesn't need any Chiselite mirrors or whatever to do Dendro attacks like he does, but I don't know, I still want to give it a try. What might be better is like in a Hyper Bloom team so he can also get spread and, you know, make his own damage much bigger. So I'm just gonna do my normal Bloom stuff here. Yelan, Ease, or not Yelan, but whatever, Nilu. And then just gonna wait for him to come back up at one point. Okay, everything's already messed up because yeah. Now we can do some Blooms. This was not the best boss to try this on, honestly. Bloom just doesn't work that well on bosses that, yeah, are invisible for half the time. I mean, it's working, I guess, sort of. Let's try Burst, I guess. We should have these Chiselite mirrors now and we can start finally doing some Blooms. And yeah, there he goes. Not too bad, I guess. Okay, I did my mandatory not Masanori run and now it's time for Masanori. Alhaitham Bloom team versus Masanori. Let's see how that goes. Do the plunge attack. That takes so long though, damn. All right, are we getting a good amount of Blooms? I mean, no, not really. I mean, I guess there's enough Blooms and he's dead. I don't know, I kind of felt like the actual Bloom production was much less than usual. Okay, well this is Midnight Masanori, so that may play some part into it. Not the Bloom production, but I was also just halfway looking at his damage because I know normal Masanori dies easily in one Bloom phase, you know. Also, my Nahida C2 I kind of forgot, so her Blooms can crit. That's also a pretty big difference as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't think he would be replacing Nahida in this team. Probably even if your Nahida wasn't C2, I kind of want to just try him as a normal main DPS-ish. Let's just go full buff. See like his maximum potential here at level 70 with Sacrificial Sword. I mean, boosting his Element's Mastery with like a Kazuha or something would probably be like even better, but let's just see here. So what are we doing? Wow, really not a lot more than we were before. Well, his burst hits, I saw some 12Ks, and with 3 mirrors, that is 120K burst. Not horrible, I would say. I'm pretty sure he scales with attack also, so these buffs shouldn't be useless, but probably other buffs would be better. Normal attacks are doing like, I don't know, 3 or 4K. The coordinated attacks are doing a little bit more. I know Saro's buff doesn't last very long, so that's probably an issue. I'm not even sure if we're getting spread. So let's get Shogun in there for some extra Electro application instead. All right, let's go ahead and give this a look-see here. There was definitely a spread. Let me just try his burst. I saw 13K, but then he jumped out of it, so I don't think we were getting spread before. Yeah, I mean, I am seeing some pretty solid damage sometimes in there. Like 10, the individual numbers aren't anything insane, but there's a good amount of them, so I'm not sure what I can say really. He is kind of like a more complex Dendro Keqing. There are more things to manage with him, like trying to make sure you have mirrors before doing his burst if you want those extra hits. The fact his Dendro infusion is based on whether he has mirrors or not and the coordinated attack, so it's obviously not a one-to-one comparison or anything, but I guess halfway because, you know, he can aim his thing and then teleports to it and can do a plunge attack and all that. It's kind of similar. His burst is pretty similar as well, just with a smaller AoE and more damage, I would say. We could try like some form of Hyper Bloom as well. I'm not too familiar with like Hyper Bloom teams and whatnot, so I'm just gonna have some off-field Hydro and Electro. Are we doing any? Yeah, I think I do see some Hyper Blooms in there. Yeah, definitely. Looks pretty good, I mean. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much do it. Raising mode showcases are generally pretty light. It's, again, I'm not really sure what to say first impressions wise. He's just okay. He's very, very normal character, I guess. Kind of standard main DPS. At the moment, I'm not too sure. I'm sure my opinions and thoughts will change as I raise him and get him to God mode standards. Until then, make sure to tell me what you think in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoy is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching. And until next time.